Well, let's get to some other matters now. In the nation's capital, Minister of the FCT Nyesom Wike has ordered that 10% of area councils' internally generated revenue be deducted for the next 6 months to settle outstanding arrears. The directive follows a meeting with teachers, council chairmen and student leaders. Our senior reporter, Habib Alawal, has details.
After months of uncertainty and disruption in the academic calendar, the Federal Capital Territory teachers are yet to reach a resolution. Although a landmark agreement was reached today between the FCT Teachers Union and government representatives here, following a series of intense negotiations aimed at addressing the educators' grievances.
The only country I've seen that would prefer to take the whole money to do personnel costs. No infrastructure, not talking about schools. But nobody's interested to go on strike, that there are no chairs in the schools. Nobody's interested to go on strike, that the place is leaking. The only strike will go is salary and this and that and wages. And I've told government, if we are running a true federalism, let's run a true federalism.
But the meeting has not yet reached a desirable conclusion. The leadership of the Teachers Union says it will reach a conclusion after meeting with its larger body.
We have had discussions as a union and the government on the other side. We have been able to have discussions that were centered on the issue that pertains to the teachers of FCT. We'll get back to our State Week Exec Council where we are going to take our final decisions.
We'll take the NUT leadership by their word that on or before the end of this today, that pronouncement will be made, because it will be a motivation. It will be a motivation for the Honorable Minister to do more. He has made the sacrifice of ensuring that Noge is taken care of.
6 months, IGR have been completely picked to settle this issue. So ours is pleading with the NUT to look at our children with a good faith and call up this strike.
A special committee comprising of NUT leadership, area council representatives is expected to meet urgently and come up with a report on modalities to address all pressing issues in 2 weeks. Stakeholders expressed optimism that a reasonable resolutions will be reached to enable children return back to a stable learning environment. Habib Alawal, TVC News, Abuja.
Premium Times reports that FCT Minister Nyesom Wike convened a meeting on July 3, 2025, where area council chairpersons, the FCT NUT, and others resolved to use 10% of council IGR over the next 6 months to pay about 70% of owed dues to primary school teachers. The Guardian similarly states that the 6 area councils agree voluntarily to forfeit 10% of IGR for 6 months to settle outstanding teacher salaries. Other outlets Punch, Nation, Vanguard, Daily Trust, PM News consistently affirmed the same resolution, 10% deduction, over 6 months to partially clear teacher arrears. Wike himself acknowledged an 18 billion was owed, and that the deduction covers roughly 70% of the arrears, while stressing the move is technically illegal but accepted by councils. To resolve the crisis, key clarifications. 1. It's 10% of each council's IGR, not the entirety. 2. The deduction spans 6 months, not a one-time cut. 3. It covers 70% of outstanding salaries, not full payment. 4. Though legally questionable, councils volunteered to agree under Wike's push. 1. Bold but makeshift resolution. It's commendable that Wike and the councils prioritized students' right to education. Using 10% of revenue to free teachers from arrears represents an immediate, if temporary, fix. That 70% payback covers a significant part of the burden, offering breathing room to families and teachers. 2. Legal gray area raises concerns. Wike's own acknowledgement that the move is illegal, since local government finances operate under council autonomy highlights a structural gap in FCT governance. Even though the council chairman assented, this raises questions about accountability, precedent, and long-term fiscal policy. 3. Not a long-term solution. Channeling millage into salary relief is a temporary patch. What happens after 6 months? Will councils face budget shortfalls? Will teachers trust recurring delays or strike again? The decision-making burden now falls on the special committee, tasked with ironing out sustainable funding models for primary teachers across the FCT. 4. Teacher solidarity tested. Not FCT's internal debate whether to call off the 3-month strike reflects tensions, securing some back pay now, or hold out for full benefits. Their eventual choice will test how much precedent matters. vs. Pragmatic recovery of lost income. 5. Broader lesson: structural funding is overdue. This crisis underlines a known truth. Essential public services, like education, must have stable, guaranteed funding. Assigning teacher salaries to council IGR, subject to political goodwill, is fragile. The FCT and federal authorities need a codified minimum wage framework and dedicated funding stream for primary education, perhaps tied to federation allocations. Conclusion: did Wike approve the use of 10% IGR? Yes, validated by multiple news outlets. Key clarifications: it's over 6 months, covers approximately 70% arrears, and lacks clear legal grounding. Bottom line, this intervention is a helpful stopgap, but unless structural, legal, and sustainable funding mechanisms are implemented, the FCT schools risk reliving the same cycle.